Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Schools are open. Parents, guardians, have you prepared your adolescents that are pregnant and mothers for school? The government has given us national guidelines to assist with the responsibility of sending these girls back to school. Let us help to provide them with a safe, productive, and friendly environment for their learning. They are still our children living among us in our communities. Their pregnancies, becoming mothers before adulthood, affects them, their community, and our nation. All children have a right to education. Now, let's take them back to school because completing their primary and secondary school education is very important to their future careers, personal development, and being productive citizens of our nation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to today's edition of the Mighty Drive. My name is Roger Storiawe, and as usual, I'm sitting in for Edgar Matthew Karhanga, who should be fine anytime soon. He's feeling uneasy, but he'll be fine as time goes by. We just need to give him some prayers and hope that the best will come through. Again, my name is Roger Storiawe, and today I'm going to be going through the updates that he always does, just to make sure that you people are informed and know what is happening in and around you, so that, you know, every time that we are informed, it makes us able to make informed decisions. So for that reason, I'll be going through what has been happening around us. I want to begin with a story at home, one that has been touching the hearts of Ugandans, and most of which has been about the violations of people and the free speech, of course. As a constitutional duty, Ugandans have a feeling they must be able to see something that is grieving them, that's making them uneasy. I mean, it's their country, so it should be determining how they're being led or something like that. So yesterday, a gentleman who is a critical writer, Kakwenza Richard, who had been in detention since 28th of December of last year, 2021. He was granted bail after that long being in prison. Of course, you know, some lawyers were detesting the fact that the legal provision of the 48 hours has not been followed, because he wasn't produced in court until then, and he had been detained illegally for that long. So the gentleman was produced in court yesterday, and he was granted bail, and a cash bail of 500,000 and a non-cash bail of 10 million Uganda shillings. But the conditions were that he must have produced his passport, which was apparently in Iganga. Now, the idea was his wife had to travel from the court to Iganga to apparently go and look for the passport and produce it and be able to have his husband out of prison. Now, the problem was apparently the woman wasn't very sure where the passport was. So chances were that if she didn't find the passport, this gentleman wouldn't be let to go, because that was a critical condition upon which the bail grant was, determinant. And now on the same note, the problem was if she went to Iganga to look for the passport, there are chances that when she came back, she wouldn't find the magistrate, the judge. Now the idea was, if she doesn't find the judge, it means that Kakwenza won't be granted bail. But even amidst all that, and after the bail being granted, the gentleman also again kidnapped and whipped away in a double cabin, a tinted double cabin pickup. Apparently it had no number plate. From Chitaria prison, that's where the gentleman was kidnapped from. And up to now, we don't know his whereabouts. His lawyer has also mentioned the fact that he doesn't know where Kakwenza is. And, it has happened over and time again. And we have seen these number plate cars doing some of those kind of shoddy works. If you remember in Kayunga by-election, it was said, pictures were going around on social media saying that the cars without number plates are the ones that had been probably distributing the stuffed ballot papers and pre-ticked ballot papers. So we have seen that same event happen time and again. So which leaves us wondering, where does our rule of law go if someone is granted bail and is taken away right away? Now we wonder why he was even produced in court. Because if he had something to answer to, they should have just made him answer that and then produce all at once, instead of producing him in court and then kidnapping time and again. I don't think that's a good thing. It's not a good precedent to set as a country, and it obviously does not inform the best practice as far as rule of law is concerned, and governance, because almost everything that happens is a determinant of a political will. So if our politics and the democracy and the rule of law is just at the crossroads like that, and we are not putting the best interest of the people of Uganda and of the constitution, of course, because if you're saying we have the rule of law, we have a constitution that says that the power belongs to the people, and these kind of things keep happening, I don't know how that leaves us the better country to live. Moving away from that story, yesterday and preceding times, Museveni made reshuffles on the forces that are leading this country. He appointed General Tumusime Katsigazi as the new AIGP deputy. After that gentleman had also been serving as the deputy commander of the UPDF Air Force, the gentleman Katsigazi that was appointed deputy AIGP. Now that position had been held by a late Major Lokech, one that had succumbed to a blood clot last year in August. And the position had basically been occupied by some other officer, had been serving in an acting capacity, since the passing of Lokech, the Lion of Mogadishu, as he commonly was known. So the gentleman, Katsigazi, now is the new AIGP deputy, and he will probably be leading that position. And again, we have seen an active commander who is in the UPDF taking the affairs of the police. I also, at some point, some of us would think that these are independent forces. Of course, they're serving the same purpose of protecting Ugandans with their properties, but there are different institutions that should be led differently. There are recruitment procedures and protocols for UPDF, and same for police. So I believe that police has enough qualified staff to be able to lead their affairs independently, but we have seen time and again people from the UPDF who are active servants of the UPDF serving in the affairs of the police. Lokech himself, the Lion of Mogadishu, he was in the other side. Now he's also this side in the police. So I don't know, probably, I am not a security expert. I don't obviously know how that should be going, but layman, an active UPDF soldier, I don't think is in position to be able to serve in the police, especially if we believe that the police is competent enough to lead their affairs independently. So that is some of the stuff that is going around. Same is about another gentleman, Kandiho, the now former CMI boss, the chieftains of military intelligence, the gentleman who was sanctioned last year by the United States on allegations of human rights violations. He was replaced also by Major General James Birungi. Now, James Birungi is now the new CMI boss. The gentleman Kandiho, obviously, a lot of people had issues with him, saying that he had violated human rights. And the Rwandan government apparently had issues with him that he had been mishandling Rwandan people on the Ugandan soil. That had been an issue. And at a time when Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba comes back from the talks with the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, this gentleman was, replaced, reshuffled, of course, replaced with another one. So some people have been saying that, rumors obviously in the corners that it's also possible that since this gentleman is believed to have been harassing some Rwandese in Ugandan soil, he is being replaced for that reason. But they mentioned that this gentleman will be overseeing some issues in South Sudan. So James Birungi will be stepping in his position, and this one will be leaving that position as the boss of the CMI. In other news, in Burkina Faso, I believe yesterday Edgar Matthew talked about, in details about the issues that are happening in Burkina Faso. And yesterday they confirmed that there was a coup in Burkina Faso, and the president of that country, Roch Kabore, had been toppled and overthrown. They were saying that apparently the reason why there had been that coup is because he failed to stem this Islamist insurgency that had been happening in that country since the time that he actually was appointed. He was elected in office as the president of Burkina Faso. In 2015, he was elected in 2015, and apparently the Al-Qaeda and some other IS group, Islamic group, had been terrorizing this country time and again, and he was, they were saying that he has failed to topple the Islamic insurgency, and for that reason, the military was not believing in him anymore. And for some reason, even the people of Burkina Faso seemed to not be on his side, because when the news went that he had been toppled, that the coup had been a success, some people on the streets of Ouagadougou, the capital city of Burkina Faso, were seen jubilating and, in support of the army and the idea of the overthrow of the president of Burkina Faso. Now, following his overthrow, the military said that parliament and government was dissolved along with the constitution for some reason, that the constitution will be coming back in a time, reasonable time. I don't know, me and you, we don't know the measure of reasonableness of time that the constitution will not be working, but they said that the parliament and the government and the constitution are at the time being suspended. That means everything is in the arms of the army that overthrew that gentleman. There has been the United Nations boss, gentleman Antonio Guterres, of course. He said that they don't accept and they don't support the idea of overthrowing a president. The same thing that has happened in Guinea Conakry, I think last year, when Mamadi Doumbouya also overthrew the president of that particular country. The UN talked against the fact that coups are happening time and again. And the same for that bloc, ECOWAS, the African Union and ECOWAS that is in that side of Africa. They also said they don't support the idea of overthrowing a president. And they said that they are holding accountable those who overthrew him for the health of the president. Now that came after the cars that apparently were in the presidential convoy were seen with bullet holes, left stranded in the capital city. But the gentleman who was giving the news for the overthrow said that the president is safe and is in a safe location along with some people who had been, captured with him. The same allegations for failing to topple that Islamic insurgency apparently that had spilled from the neighboring Mali in the year 2015, which is the same year that this gentleman, Roch Kabore, took office as the president of the Republic of Burkina Faso. Now, Burkina Faso apparently means the land of the honest men. That's the meaning of the word. And that had been since the time in 1983 when this gentleman, Thomas Sankara, adhered to a lot of people. A lot of you remember him as a hero in the African history and not just in Burkina Faso. He was also killed in 1987, of course. Same thing, he was toppled and killed in 1987 after resuming office in 1983. Now, I don't know what that says, the name Land of the Honest Men, with a lot of issues like those, but that is what's happening in that particular country. And I think that is basically what I have for you in the updates. We will be coming up today is a commemoration of the NRM, their 36 rule since 1986 to date. And we will be talking particularly about that, but in the perspective of the youth, we will be looking at how the evolution of the NRM as a government at that time. What has it done for the young people and what has it failed to do? And maybe why has it failed if it has? And, you know, we have to applaud, give, credit where it is due and say that it has done this and that. But where it has failed, what could be the reason that it failed and how can we do better? On set today, I'll be with a gentleman, Arnold Anthony Mukose. He will be talking to us about that particular issue. We will also have Farida Bikobere and another lady, Anita Msemeta, to talk about a number of those issues and see, as young people, how do we move past that. And later on in the day, we have a special broadcast at 10, where gentleman Norman Tumuhimbise will be hosting the retired Justice Professor Kanyihamba George Wilson. We, along with Honorable Yona Kanyomozi, who has served in a number of governments from way back in Obote and then Amin, and then, at some point, I think, even in Museveni's government. So we'll have those two gentlemen tell us how the evolution has been. And as people, Kanyihamba, as someone who was a part of the process of bringing the government of NRM back in the 1980s, he seems to be dissatisfied with the fact and the way business is handled by the party. And he was seen, of course, he has been seen time and again supporting the opposition. He visited, I think last year, he visited this gentleman, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, who is also the principal of the NUP and a former presidential candidate. He seems to be not in agreement with the way business is handled, and he has been seen criticizing Museveni on a number of issues that are happening around and how he's handling business. So we'll have them both in a special broadcast. They will be on this set to tell you what were the ideas of the NRM, the 10-point programs, if they're even still applying, and what went wrong, and why is he even against Museveni. After serving in his government, he was a Minister of Justice, was an Attorney General at some point. He was a Supreme Court judge. He has been in a number of positions in this government. So why is he against this government? And anyway, what are his ideas for making it better? Because I want to believe that people who are aged like that, they, that saying in Luganda, it is awadugalawe whatever. So apparently they have seen a number of issues, and we expect that they have some reasonable solutions to the same effect. So we will have those gentlemen to tell us the history as it has been and the projection of where we might be going and what probably can happen. How can we do better and the government along? So that's what I have. My name is Roger Surihabu. We are going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we will have basically a youth panel, because abakulu bagenda kuja maasawo abatoka tubeeko kye tulaba ku nsonga nga bwe zibadde mu ggwanga Uganda. My name is Roger Surihabu. Let's go in for a short commercial break. We will be right back.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Schools are open. Parents, guardians, have you prepared your adolescents that are pregnant and mothers for school? The government has given us national guidelines to assist with the responsibility of sending these girls back to school. Let us help to provide them with a safe, productive and friendly environment for their learning. They are still our children living among us in our communities. Their pregnancies, becoming mothers before adulthood, affects them, their community and our nation. All children have a right to education. Now, let's take them back to school because completing their primary and secondary school education is very important to their future careers, personal development and being productive citizens of our nation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masanyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna ssaawa 11 paka ssaawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digital as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
All right, thank you again for being a part of us. A very good morning once again. My name is Roger Suriabwe, and we are back in another edition of the Mighty Drive. And I have, a gentleman and ladies who, have a number of issues to talk to Ugandans about how youths are being led and their participation basically in a number of issues, government programs. We have seen time and again women emancipation, how have they, been put in the mainstream, especially in the leadership positions, time from 1986 to currently in the government that NRM has been in power. We have some other gentlemen who will be looking at economic empowerment, young people in the government programs also. We have seen the NADs, we have seen the emyaka, we have seen a number of those, Operation Wealth Creation. How has that benefited young people? And in a country that is, whose backbone is agriculture, how are young people benefiting in that particular sector, and especially in programs like this? Because we have seen time and again, those number of those issues, one comes and it fails, another program comes up, and for some reason it also stops happening, and then another one comes up. Do they change because they have failed to serve the purpose, or is it because they have outlived their usefulness and we need another, kind of approach. So we'll be looking at a number of those. We'll also be looking at unemployment rate, where we stand. We are between 64 and 70% of unemployment, and have young people being almost, I think, over 70% of Ugandans being young people. How is unemployment happening, and how, has the government tried to fight that? And if it has failed, how better can we approach that? We have a country that loses a lot of money to corruption. We want to look at that, how do we fight it? Because a lot of corruption, too much of it, also affecting young people as being the majority stakeholders in what is happening in this country. But I don't want to talk much. I want to to invite these gentlemen and ladies to say hello, introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into it. I want to begin from this side. Anita, you're welcome to this Mighty Drive.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you all our viewers. My name is Anita, and we shall be analyzing issues here and there about what he just said. I hope you keep the comments running through, and we shall be able to get back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for being a part of us. They said ladies first, women empowerment again. I want to also look at another lady before I bring in the gentleman. So also hello to you.
Hello everyone. Farida Wikoveri. Good morning.
Oh, short and precise. That is good. Gentleman Arnold, sir, you're welcome to the Mighty Drive today. You can say hello to the people.
Yes, Masuza Mutia, amachama lungi tubaniriza mukose Arnold Anthony.
People are short and precise today. I don't know why. But we are going to be going into details of what I just said.
So what are you going to plan again?
Abatamagala bakozesayo mu weekend. Bakulisizayo ne munnaye.
Weekend ya Wednesday na yebra.
Muri bannayuganda. But gentlemen, you're welcome to the drive again.
Thank you.
NRM today is celebrating 36 years in power. It has been there since 1986 to present, and a number of developments have happened. We have seen some considerable growth in a number of sectors, but we also have some shortcomings. We have some shortfalls in some of the sectors, and especially as regards young people. I want to pick your minds, all of you, to begin with. How do you see the young people in this whole transition in the period of 36? How have the young people been at the center, if they have been anyway, especially given the fact that the population in Uganda is majority of them being young people? I want to begin with Arnold. How do you see young people being at the center of politics here and there?
First of all, nzikiriza kulo bulungi babawuliriza baffe n'abalabi ne ku bulungi bwange nze onzije mu luzungu.
Mukama wange osobola okukola.
Wamba buulira batugambanga nti obungi bw'ensimizo bwe bungi bw'oluzungu bw'omanyi. Ate bafuta okulama kama nkuseere. So oluzungu lwenina ndokekkereza okusobola okulabanga n'enkya I can survive.
Nkitwala.
Dani okuswalira wano ne ofuluma wano nga yo so mwenzikirize. But okudda ku kibuuzo kyo abavubuka baali basaale muketa government ye. Era when you talk about bakadogozi baali baana abavubuka. So abavubuka baali badde oba baali mu makati bali pivotal
masanganzi
okulabanga bayita government yenu. Tine Museveni mwennyini president w'eggwanga yino ayo machi yali asomoseeko ng'abuuse emyaka 3 awo, but still age bracket bagitwala nga ya muvubuka. So wali badde osuubira nti using that history abavubuka bano bali badde bakumwanjo nnyo buli kye bakola, bukulembeze, byabufuzi, byanfuna nga tukulembeza bavubuka. But mu bigambo abavubuka bano balagiddwa nti ba mugaso. Naye mu bikolwa tewabaddewo nnyo will. Era abavubuka bano nti bankizo nnyo era bansonga y'amaanyi ennyo mu kulaba nga batumbula embeera zaabwe. Lwaki njogera bwe ntyo nti constitutionally babawa ne slots of leadership slots. Ngero kuli asimanyi affirmative, simanyi every local council kuliko akakiiko k'abakulembeze n'omukulembeze w'abavubuka, olina ku district, the sub counties, ne up to parliament. Ne recently mu Presidential Elections Act 102B. Baja amendments nayo ne bagamba nti for as long as you are 18 ngoina qualifications. Yene nange babikola kwevalinga kuleta inclusiveness. Yabona. Fine. So kirungi, but practically olabanga ate abavubuka abagezezaako okubanga bakiteeka mu nkola wakino okubeera bakubiddwa thrice, physically, financially, and spiritually.
Spiritually?
Yes.
Okay.
Nti singa olwaliro ovaayo lojja nolaga nti wamaanyi nnyo abagoberezi bajja batokyalinga naye yali agadde okukwegattako bamumenye bagambe owaayo olaba analivoko bamuyisizawo bati olwonze omuntu wa wansi. So ogenda otunuulira nti mu bigambo gavumenti eno bambi ezizzamunya abavubuka essuubi. Era bw'oba owulira abakozi b'akadingidi aba NRM n'obukulembeze buno bagamba abavubuka temulina bifo mu parliament. Naye kati kankubuuze bwe kibanga eggwanga Uganda bwe kibanga 75% of the population bavubuka, naye nga 75% of abavubuka bakulemberwa ba parliament abo, amagye g'eggwanga UPDF
that was on 1%.
Naye nga balina ababaka ba parliament. Omanyi by law constituencies zino okwawulibwa okusinziira ku population. Bwe kiba nga abavubuka balina population ennene balina ababaka bataano. UPDF it was a percent 1.something%. Ina ababaka bangi okusinga abavubuka. Then waliwo ekintu ekirala ekiri awo.
Naye anti omuntu omuwude ajju nti police UPDF representation yaabwe eri mu parliament okka. Kati ba youth bali mu structures of kuba ku ground level up to the national level.
How influential in policy making and formulation are the local council leaders compared to members of parliament? How much do they earn? Tusatandike waggulu. Nti okumanya era bakimanyi nti abawansi tebagasa, they pay them per every sitting.
Tebali
kumusala. Every sitting. Meaning this is irrelevant, just Chris would. Abaka parliament begera omusala. Meaning the influential. Manyi bino ebintu kyegambye nti practically. Theoretically we want what tulaga nti tuli ba mugaso. Naye bw'otandika okuanalyzinga kimu ku kimu abavubuka tebagasa mu bukulembeze. Si mu nkulaakulanya y'eggwanga naye nga mu bukulembeze, quote me right. Nti constitution ebawa amaanyi balina ebifo naye ebifo ebiri influential tebakimanyi, bamanyi amaanyi g'abavubuka tebalibawa era tebakkiriza mu byokipayinge. So nze ndowooza NRM ebintu ebimu ekoze bulungi naye youth question
ekyaganya as a whole. Kati bwe tulaba ku youth question kanzireke wa Farida katono. Youth question also involves women. I want to look at women empowerment just as much. Kubanga most times young children, youth, and women are taken as marginalized. So if it appears young people from Arnold, it appears that young people have been there theoretically, but they are not there physically. They are not in the work. They are not in the middle of what is happening. And they are the biggest stakeholders. Now, as women, as also in that bracket of marginalizing, has there been some kind of shift? Has there been some kind of favor? Or is it also theoretical and not practical?
For us women, I really want to believe it has not been theoretical. There are some practical bits that we would really say, yeah, the women have achieved, or what NRM has achieved towards women, because we see we have women members of parliament. Actually, even our prime minister is a woman. nabanja. So it is a plus to us nti edda nti kale they have achieved to a certain extent, though nti abachala bali empowered ate balemedde mu bifo bali empowered ate ne balemera mu ne bate empowering abaana abalala abato. But to add on all these things and this submission, like to say bwabanga mugamba nti abavubuka be baleeta NRM in power, lwaki olowooza ba making abavubuka okubeera minority group? I think it was intentional to make the youths a minority group because they know what they can do. So ne baba nafuya intentionally ne baba fula a minority group, because I do not see anywhere why would the youth be a minority group. Why?
Because apparently they don't have skills. That's what they say.
No,
they say you can't.
They're in that ages, youthful ages, meaning who's
role?
Because whose role?
To impact skills
in these youths.
And that's the excuse they give. They say, young people, you don't have enough skills. You don't have enough.
That
does not make us a minority group.
The question goes back to them. Who is responsible for skilling these youth?
Are the youth even, there at the mainstream? So
nze njagala okulowooza nti government eno yakikola intentional because buli bwe bakutandika okuclassifyinga naawe otandika okweraba nti tosobola. Because now they classified us as a minority group. Kati nne ebintu byetunagamba why ebyo sigenda bisobola. Yesterday we had a young girl yangagamba yasoka natula munga ayagala kwesimbawo ku president. We laughed. We laughed not because your dream is so big, but because at a young age someone is.
The stakes are not enough.
The stakes are not for someone atunagamba naye. Abasajja aba 36 bayinza okutalowooza kwesimba. One day young girl of 22 alimutunulira presidential seat. So nti batuteka mweno classified minority group for reasons of okay, temugenda kuvaawo awo bwe mugezaako okuvaayo you are a minority group awo temulina tuukawo. But for women, at least we have achieved, not to a bigger extent, but at least women we have achieved. In this NRM government, there has been a move. There is a plus.
Okay. I want to ask, you talked about the marginalization of youth and the fact that apparently the slogan that is always going around is that young people don't have skills. So how do I put you in a position of influence if you don't have enough skills?
That is not our problem. It is the education system. It is the curriculum. The curriculum developers don't think of impacting youths with skills. Vyetusoma kusomero simanya vasiko dagama manya Canadian prairies. There is nothing like beginner towards any skills.
But you mani.
Era tuva mu makerere okoma wano nga toyina cholina apart from the theories.
Yes. Empowered and skilled youth is hard to be confused. So kati bakimanyi the best way to control mwe nange naawe kwe kuwa okusoma okw'omunguuba ogende nga kyosobola okukola kusaba mulimo, but you can't think beyond what you were taught okweyimiriza.
But I want to also look at, as I come to you, I want to look at the time when the Musevens went to the bush and all those young people are there. I wouldn't say that the conditions were so favorable at that time.
Yes.
So I also want to put it to the fact that the young people basically didn't have the skills. So nothing to watch and especially being the majority stakeholder. So do you think it is possible that also the marginalization of young people is partly their own cause? Because they have not come, they have not been occupying, they have not taken any initiative to be there.
I personally object.
I
personally object.
Was rejected, and what anyway, talking about that, I'll go back to the emyaka or the skilling, whatever that was initiated by NRM. I think that was 2019. I think the youths took part of it. Even generally in bed, I saw people take on the skills. But what NRM has done, I think, to me, it was a civil engine because eringet tolerako. Omanyi chiringo kubuze njale kuluma ye. Hatene nkwemere mane tolerako soko olieke eno, wono jimaliriza nja kola ki. Nja kuongera. Like, but what? Because you're going to find omwana tesobola, omwe skill, find ajina. Ne kapita gena mja cause bamu wa sente baba wa sente anyway nga umala skill bakuwaza otandiki wako nete tuina wakacha kulia. Are you sure ngenda kwate zo sente ngule oven wembanga have been learning how to bake? am I going to start up a saloon with, okay, abambabanga 1 million, abalala. Anyway, I think it was 1 million and above. But embeera eri ewaka tejja kunzikiriza kukola ebintu ebimu. Because I buy an oven and then
cook.
And then ingredient.
And then
but this is a business that needs.
And then what?
Yes, but you're going to bake in, okay. Wetunasanga omuntu kale katujite determination. Ngoli yali determined to do a certain business.
Yes.
Trust me, it can't go for even beyond a week.
Guys, a disclaimer, I am not an NRM spokesperson, but I want to disagree with Anita. Like, seriously, if you went for scaling, you got the skill, let's say for baking, they give you a startup capital of 1M, and the oven does not cost 1M. Particularly, maybe if you go for a small oven, yeah, you would buy, you get it
at a. Even if you go for a big one, I don't know there's a 1 million oven.
Yes, okay. There is 1.5 and 1.6.
But for starters,
why do you
go for
you would go for a small one. The thought of you eating the money, because a 1.1 is a bad thought. No. Because you would at least say, let me buy an oven, say that in Kolo Wonders every day and the 2 cent.
Farida, here is the thing. Of course, tebagenda kuwa sente obelengo ngoziridawo. But what I'm trying to say is the sustainability. Senga kale wobanga otandisewo ekintu bwe kityo ogamba nti nja sooka nkuweeka 5 ndabe wogenda okola. Then maybe at the end of... No, like what I'm trying to say, at least try to make it sustainable. Because we all know that this
regular follow-ups for improvement.
Yeah, because when I skill, fine anyway. Skills zoba chazina because choina mutwe techivunda. But what I'm trying to say, and I appreciate them for that, because until when I and the capital right now, maybe later when I funa sente, I'll start from where I stopped. But I doubt these people even do follow-ups to see. And that way you're not empowering our youth. I
have given you a skill, find what to use it for.
Exactly, and that's where I come.
That's where I come.
That's where I come.
And so when you follow up such a person, you're empowering them to become a better person. Because twemanya abavubuka. So if NRM...
But if youth are 75% of the Uganda's population and you want us to follow up everyone that has gotten a skill, that is way too much. It is not
here
possible.
Is the thing. I believe it had leadership. Sichuanga, bali bantu bali aonga, one person has to follow up. It had a specific organization. It had a structure in the first place. Government mchalo bwechiti, there are certain leaders who will follow up because it's even part of their constitution. But they had planned for it. They would be following up.
That makes me agree with the Rogers' submission where he said abavubuka tuli out tusuddeyo twagala kubeeranga
batushinga. My point goes back to the NRM because we are assessing what they've done for the youth. What I'm trying to mean is, like, if you're training people that you want to be better, like, better people. These are the people who know kufa Kenya. Or to stage A, you've made sure they've made an extra step. So me, that's where I'm getting back to. Yes, you've empowered these people about the skills of our dechi. But yes, I believe nchimanya abavuka too reluctant. But as a party, gwayagala abavubuka beyongera okubeera mu byobufuzi beyongera okwekulakulanya, you have to do something better than that.
To make sure it's sustainable.
Yeah, because omwana oti onomuwa sente nomuleka noga akasanze namuwa skill, you're not helping them. Because ate bamanyi n'obunafu bwaffe tetufayo tetukola ki. So kyenkyena so gamba nti batutooledde NRM eringewo omwana emmere nekutoolerako negamba nja kwongera. Chovola batulina bamugati bangi era nga kimanyikiddwa nti NRM chochi chigati. You've been at Makerere University. You've seen guild let me finalize. You've seen guild presidents aba NRM nga standing out. Nenga taina na byagamba nsi. They don't sit and plan about how they can make the university better. They always have money for campaigns because they are funded. Such a leader is not going to be a better leader. But after then, they do not even have the guts to stand as an MP. How are they helping us?
I want to go to we are going to politics then. I want to go to Arnold. When I mentioned that young people are also not doing their best, you said you disagree. You disagree. I want to hear your opinion why you disagree. Because when you look at Uganda and the youth constituency in Uganda, most of them are not people who are really positioned. And we want to say the government has not done that much. But are the youth really also at the front? Are they there? Have they made themselves available? Because umuntu wabagenda kuyamba, you should be somewhere. And it's the same that ngano bawadagamba nti you have given me something, you should give me enough. But as a government, I'm not supposed to give you a livelihood. Like, riches. I'm not going to give you everything. I'm going to give you a skill, make sure you use that skill and better yourself. So are the youth really there?
Okusobola kwa byonna omuntu asooka yeebuuze nti muvubuka yeetaaga ki? Kiki bamutereddewo n'agaana okikozesa? Kwanzikiriza wano e Uganda buli ekyetaagisa kyonna kyonna omuvubuka akikoze. Tuleke kujja isolated cases because Arnold is lazy afuuke reference ku 99 abasigaddewo because of Arnold's laziness. Okay, tandikire from education system. Njagala ombuulire emyaka gya ba Museveni balina bugaga bwenkana ki era yasasula first of all yasasula school fees yasasula yali yenkana ki?
I don't know exactly how much school fees.
Na skilling tebagala bipapulo twalayo national ID.
Tugende mpola.
Skilling Uganda twalayo national ID notandika
okusoma. Let him first finish.
They agree. Chekiza kuleta nti tutandikire ddala ku education system. Nti Museveni mu bwavu kuba yali mu nkusere ne mwenye akikkiriza ne mu bitabo byawandisa alaga nti yali mwavu nga n'omwavu amuyita mwavu. But it's now our president. Wane waffe sawa zino nze ndi mwavu naye abavu tebampita mwavu. Naye byenna okwetuusaako sibisobola. Naye nga Museveni omwavu nga n'abavu bamuyita nga mwavu asobodde okubyetuusaako. Kyo kindeeta ku nsonga yange nti okweyagaliza omulugube obukyayi bimazeewo eggwanga Uganda. Nti tutunuulira tulowooza nti singa twempawalinga abavubuka bajja kuba anirole. Ensonga kyolaba skilling Uganda erinnyo mu Buganda. Munkwotege bulungi, I'm not going to tribal. Omanyi wano Uganda bogeza okukuwa analysis region per region. Are you tribal? Oyesimanya nasula mawanga. Naye munkwotinga bulungi. If bwekyo buyambi bwa nsimbi Buganda teweewa nsimbi. Ye baweewa nsimbi za munguuba. Nti by percentage walibadde osuubira nti Buganda being the densely populated yalibadde yefuna omugabo omungi if it's financial. Newekanga nti ate regions ezimu ezina population ntono ate zo zifunye nyingi.
Naye ebiseera ebisinga you realize that number of programs wezibeerawo mu Buganda okusingira ddala. Okay, I'm going to look at, because Uganda has the majority, it has a number of kind of empowered young people, somehow to some extent.
How do you engage your power?
Of course, not entirely, but because they're a little bit informed. Abasinga babera basomyeko. They are most times the ones who benefit from that. Kubanga ababera mu byalo, oluusi babera tebamanyi structures zabo teziriwo, and most of these people want an organized structure. So most of the times it has happened in urban areas, most of which has been in central. So Buganda, the focus has not, probably the reason why the focus has not been so much here is because for some reason they have benefited compared to the other ones.
Ongondeza mu submission yange. Kuba bwolaga nti eriyo ebitundu ebikulaakulanye nebayo bikyali emabega.
Kyekituufu.
Oba ondaze nti olaze nti ya NRM government yekyasinze okuvuura n'okumenya ssemateeka. Ssemateeka tugamba we are all equal. Actually, imujita chapter esokeza semateeka. Ozoga ku equal education, equal health facility, equal what, equal. So ngamba nti Buganda eri little bit civilized. Naye ate abe mu byalo tebafiiriddwako. Ekyo kitegeeza nti already tusamalizing nti obutenkanya buli across the board, not only in the youth but countrywide. Nti walibadde osuubira gavumenti planning abantu baayo obulungi. Tulina gundi ez'enjawulo, simanyi vision 2020, 2040, simanyi 20100, simanyi 2300, simanyi nabimanya balina nyingi. Walibadde nga National Planning Authority ekulemberwa Katikkiro waffe ng'Abasoga nga yakulira authority nga ayina statistics zino ne projections okutulaga nti ebitundu bwe biti byetaaga kino naye weekanga nti omusomo gwalibadde gukoma e Kampala because Kampala is ahead ate bagutute mu kyalo. Luno omusomo gwalibadde ogw'omu kyalo ogwa banna Kampala. Reason being nti bo ekyabwe they are all about statistics and numbers. We trained 200 youth but with no impact. Ogwabe gwakutuukiza figures but not impact, not result oriented. Kuba singa babadde bagala okukulaakulanya nti omuvubuka akulaakulane bali badde bagamba okay we are training only 10 but impactful. Bajja kyusa bannaabwe not 100 in just figures. Ngatewano kyagenda kukola. Kyekiliko wano lwaleero. We are treating symptoms but not diagnosing the real cause. Nti fuwano olwali twagala tugende mu World Bank tukole reports bafana sibagambe no we have 1 million beneficiaries. Nenga bakubuuza bo bakoze eki? No banafu. Nenga futaba training. That's the NGO world yakola. Ndiboka reports no gamba training abantu ngakitu for training abantu 10. Nenga babuuza yaba training how practical or how have they practicalized what you taught them. Tebalina. So nze kino kyonna kiddayo ku government nti well era byekoze era sigiwakanya enguudo zikoleddwa amalwaliro agamu gazimbiddwa naye this question ate n'amalwaliro agabagamba nti gazimbiddwa tegali bizimbe naye temuli ddagala kuba kati nze njagala oŋŋambe nti President Obote may his rest in power nti amalwaliro getwenyumizamu olwaleero gonna the referrals gaziba ku mulembe gwe ag'omulembe leave about Kirudu leave Kawempe nga nolwaleero gyogenda nga bakusasuza Obote family bajjanjabiranga Mulago niwe yakubwa essasi bamunyanjabya Mulago. Njagala ombuulire at what point have you ever had okay has it ever rumored nti family ya President Museveni eri Mulago? Just rumors. Kale si mazima.
Surely yange.
Okay, mbulira. If it's not international schools, njagala ombuulire. Isomero ki erya UPE? Family ne waba muzukulu wa mutawani wa muzukulu wa Museveni yasomedde mu UPE. Bwe kibanga enkola eri universal nga yafa etuyamba kufenna.
No, but generally in a civilized world, abantu bonna tebakubeera ku level.
Omanyi omukulembeze bagamba nti leader should be exemplary in whatever we do. Bw'ogamba nti eddwaliro nabakola eddwaliro, okay, for example like ng'amakubo. Ffe tugakozesa. Tewaliga abagagga, tewaliga abaavu. Kitegeera. N'ebitabo byali badde. Twiga amasomero. Public schools. Ziboku semi-standard nti omusomesa headmaster avudde abadde asomesa cast time can be brought to Uganda Road n'asomesa naye omusomesa headmaster wange we cast time Empongwe mu Mega District ebirooto ebyokujja okusomesa ku Uganda Road biringa okugamba omwana mutabani wange nti agenda kera ku makya abenga ye mukuumi wa Museveni olwaleero n'ambeemu atandikirwako.
Lwaki tekisobola?
Nti ekirooto mu ssemateeka olaba nga kisobola okutuukirira but in reality nekisoboka.
Lwaki tekisoboka?
do background check utadija game but ani qualifying okuba mukumi wa Museveni nambemu who qualifies according to the current setting so chinza kulaga nti ebintu ebyo bambi te bifirwa ko bufirwa intentionally they want to empower Farida which means if they empower Farida book might turn out to be a threat which again if they empower Roger we threaten their threaten power. And here, if you want to have life, don't threaten power. Don't threaten the state, actually. A joker question, by the way, was re-kidnapped again after being granted. Just because he was termed destabilizing the peace of the first. Disturbed the peace. It's a matter of tetemanye first son, tetemanye first family basically. Emanyo omuntu ogu the president. Now, which one is somebody that has omuntu because you are destabilizing. Because the commander. Not the commander. Disturbing the peace of the first son. Not even the peace of the commander. Peace of the general. But why would you disturb the peace? Why are you disturbing the first son? But is that how they handle people who disturb our peace? It's not. They disturbed our peace for 30 years. We are not complaining. Are we complaining? You are complaining. You are not complaining. You mean? Okay, guys. Let's go. We're going for a short commercial break, gentlemen. We'll come back, but also now you're talking about the peace. We'll also talk about the youth participation, because sometimes the youths are only social media influencers and that's all. They don't go to the ground. So that's right. Yeah, it is. So how do you expect help if you don't go for it? Instead, government should government come and pick you from your homes to take you to stand for positions. To empower. Gentlemen, let's go in. When we come back, we want to look at youth participation. Are the young people are they mainstreamed in decision making? How much do they influence policies that happen? Even if they are in favor of young people, or even if they are general because they're the majority stakeholders. Young or whatever. Sometimes also young people things are just going to come on a silver platter. This world you have to work for yourself. You don't expect the government to come in your comfort zone and give you some money or do this and that for you. But in the next hour we'll be looking at that. We'll also be looking at unemployment and how the NRM has handled that and how can we do it better. And not just for NRM as a government. Generally, how is it happening? Because unemployment is a global issue, but Uganda, how do we deal with that moving forward? Let's go in for a short commercial break.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Schools are open. Parents, guardians, have you prepared your adolescents that are pregnant and mothers for school? The government has given us national guidelines to assist with the responsibility of sending these girls back to school. Let us help to provide them with a safe, productive, and friendly environment for their learning. They are still our children living among us in our communities. Their pregnancies, becoming mothers before adulthood, affects them, their community, and our nation. All children have a right to education. Now, let's take them back to school because completing their primary and secondary school education is very important to their future careers, personal development, and being productive citizens of our nation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano wetugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage. The Voltage gaba masanyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna saawa 11 paka saawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda baganda baffe bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Digital as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Big Talk, real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You're welcome back to the second hour of the Mighty Drive. My name is Rogers Tuyawe, and with a panel that I have, we are trying to look at the evolution of the youth question in the NRM government since 1986 in the 36 years, how young people have been at the mainstream. We are live. You can call in this second hour. The numbers will be going through on your screen. You should be able to call in, and we shall be able to try to answer some of the questions. And inform us if we have made a misstep at some point. We are here to educate each other, and as young people we need to know what we are doing wrong and how can we do better at that. So in the second hour you can call in live and ask a question, or you make a comment if you have one that you think shouldn't be left out. You can also go to a social media platform on Facebook page, type in a question or type in a comment. We shall be able to read it at some point later in this second hour. As we are going for a short break, I don't want to forget also to mention that at 10 we have Justice Kanyihamba and Yona Kanyomozi, Honorable. We have a special broadcast where these gentlemen will be interviewed on basically the same issues. You have the government of the NRM in that 36 years. How have they done? And some gentlemen being a part of it from the evolution when it was beginning. What were their ideals? What were the ideas for the new Uganda that it was becoming back then? And how has that worked up to date? So don't miss, make sure you're around at 10 a.m. We shall be going through in details with Norman Tumhimbise on that same issue. So as we're going for a break, we were talking about the youth and their participation. I want to look at in the political perspective, young people's political participation. We have youth structures, we have political structures from the local council one. We have almost up to the national level. For some reason, there has been structures where young people bombera mo in idea at the parish level. You can push it to the sub-county, and then it goes to the district, and then the district representatives to the national representatives, and we hope that it gets to the floor of parliament to be discussed. Young people, are they considered enough? Like, are they considered in the policy making at the national level? Because we have structures and would assume that decisions would be going through the structures up to the national level. Are young people really at that? Let me begin with the ladies this time.
Are young people really at that? No. But there are these programs. These programs are in place. There is a youth livelihood program. If you organize and present your papers and documents and then follow up But the problem is with the young people is that even when they get this money, babu gabana, ba presenting a popular kukola project batugenda alunda nkoko kati bwe bafune sente bazigabana owe 10 owe 5 owe 2 ne batakola project. Kakati mu biseera ebisinga tuleme gamba nti buli kibitu kisindikire government. Have we done enough? We as the young people, we haven't. One, we are not focused and we are not even organized. Those who organize come and get the money and don't do what they actually ask the money for. So even when they say that youth livelihood program yankajja nga when you organize, you present your papers mulaga LC1 ebamanyi nga bawa sente. This time round mulina okufuna ba referees bangi obabalaga nti they are organized youth sibamanyi bye bakola tebala bagamba mbo bureaucracy esusse naye it's not like emitendera miyitirivu lwansonga nti you misused the chances nti esente zaliwo neba abavubuka twamanyira nnyo lamentations every now and then government etuyambye will the government get you from your homes and then start giving you money cash mu biveera sente zino nibwe banaziba wa abavubuka bemanya aba Uganda agenda zinywemu omwenke kubanga balaza guddewo everyone is very happy as if they are giving free money in the bar and then you wonder where are they getting this money zebanywa omwenke every day
exactly
every day people are really happy because balazi zigule and throughout that night Monday night abantu basanyuka abantu banyo omwenge like kiro kiramba ne batandika n'okufulumya bukooti mbugwe gula bbiya wogende ku police osabe osi open osirike you see nti they are not focused at all. We do not want to blame the government mbuba tufudde that idol nti tetukyafaayo nnyo ku bituluma fenga abantu omukulu Mokosa ayogeddeko ku regional imbalance and UPE. I do not agree with you Mokosa okuleeta notion egamba mbu abaana ba president basomera ddi mu UPE. UPE bagiteekawo okuyamba munnayuganda atasobola sente za private school nti n'abaana bo kabasome yadde tosobodde school fees president Museveni kweyogera kayina obusobozi obutwala omwana we musomero ery'ebbeeyi waliwo omuzadde mu kyalo eyatalina busobozi bitwala mwana we mu private school government egamba it okay katuleete UPE. UPE is not that when UPE kubanga era tujja kubuuza tewaliyo bazadde basomeseza abaana baabwe buddo tewaliyo bazadde balina baana baabwe in those kitende those bigger private schools abalanga bali bweru. It's not that UPE bagireta for all Ugandans bagireta for those Ugandans abata affordinga sente zigenda mu private schools ngamba yadde abaana bajja kwagala okusoma nenga tolina sente kabagenda mu UPE basome.
I think I'm from Mukose after you I'll have to
let's give her time. Our submission is it?
Sorry for cutting this short. The same issue was happening with the health sector also. Back in the 1993. Bali bakola nga balina ka proposal akagamba nti actually they made it I think around 1999 something around there. I'm not so sure of the year. Nga bagamba nti health sector because previously it was free. Ne baja bagamba nti they make a dual system where a private sector I mean someone who can afford to pay for certain medicines they can pay for that and then there's a side where if you can't afford the medicine you are catered for still. So at the end of the day it's not about whether who is going to what side. It's about that everyone is considered in the process. So chechemundo was anono chada gamba into education system edinti as a liberal economy. We are looking at making money. We want also the GDP to grow, but it doesn't grow if people are not, paying taxes also. So people have to pay taxes. So in the private sector, then
continue with my submission is Ugandans should not be complaining about Museveni not taking his kids to UPE schools. We should be complaining about the standards of the UPE schools. Nti okay weziri na ye ebikozesebwa mu ebirimu aga amasomero. We should not expect the president of Uganda to take their kids in those schools because if we can afford. Because Mukosa Arnold Anthony, wabosobola okwaffording omwana wo okusomera musomero ery'ebbeeyi, there is no reason you would take that kid to a UPE school because you can afford. It is all about affordability. Woba tosobola genda waliwo chovola bagamba nti osanga ali ennyama n'ali ebijanjalo. It's not that ali ebijanjalo tayagala nnyama tajja affordinga katika ali ebijanjalo. It's not that bigenda kumutta naye bye biriwo bye bisobola omutambuza. The same applies to UPE schools. mubitwalemu abaana basome. What you should be complaining about is the standards of the UPE schools. Okay, amasomero bagatuwadde naye temuli basomesa. Amasomero bagatuwadde naye yes gali substandard tetulina buno textbooks abaana bwe basomerako. But us complaining and wanting the president to rule by example by taking his kids to his UPE schools, it is not realistic at all. About the regional imbalances, I want to agree that Buganda is strategically located. And it is in the center, so a lot of things begin from here. It is not like they're in favor of Buganda region, but it is because the Buganda region is strategically located. There is no way you would actually jump Buganda and then go to far east or far north, because ebintu ebisinga tubirabira wanino tuvola banti naye regional imbalance wejira nti ate tulaba sometimes tutunulira regions ne resources zeyina and ne sente zeyingiza okuongera ku GDP, so nti oja kutunulira jinja it attracts more of the tourists and all that because it is endowed with the resources, with the natural resources. Naye osanga nti development ya yeri wansi. Its development okubera wansi, we want to say it is intentional because it was some time there during a means regime. Kati twagala okulowooza nti government ene kikoze intentionally, maybe because they know what it can cause if all they have empowered. So they have intentionally made Busoga region poor or underdeveloped. Because you could see it has all the resources, it has the natural resources, it attracts most results, it has the fertile lands, and so we find that Basoga bo okuvayo ne batefaako. Sometimes the same way I would want the youth to kwefaako. Nti okay mugambi you are not included. Okay, the youth livelihood fund is there na yesente muzifunye. What have you done? You have kept quiet. Don't sit in your houses and you think President to start thinking for you. You think the youths are not happy about it.
It's not about
social media.
Sometimes
and there are youths who are doing social media activism, but they are not arrested. How are you doing your activism?
But have they been helped?
And you attacking people personally.
Have they been heard?
So you want to tell us or engeri yokubagulira mu ya ku abusing muntu disrespect and all that kind of stuff. So you do your activism. Mulago butali bumativu. Don't expect the government to think that the youths are not happy because mbosanga tebafunye. They do not know. We are not going to think for you. I am not in the government, but they are not going to think for you guys.
You sound like you are.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's okay. No, the truth is, people are really not doing their part. But the truth is, UPE wide knowledge. I don't agree with you, Brock Williams, because there are people. I mean, I'm a product of UPE. I don't know if I'm that dumb or stupid. There are a lot of people who are products of UPE and USE, and they are doing some considerable work in this country. So I don't want to agree with you. You would just say that maybe the standards are not that better, but there is some kind of work. And there are people who have been helped that way. Because there are people who didn't afford to go to school, but they have gone. And it is that UPE. So we will give due, credit where it is due. Yeah. It's not fair to only look on the bad side because so I want to look, we were looking at political participation. And Farida Wabada, I get the Kuchokubanga, Buganda is strategically located. And the fact that people were Gamba. But it's also possible that when the people, their leaders, misuse the money, the people don't benefit. In the previous, emyaka were about 100 billion. In one specific case study, about 1.9 billion was lost to fake circles and all that. So it's also go back to the people. Now that's not on the government.
Yeah.
It's on the people at the ground. Umuntu abera in that position, ni baba wa sente na akoda fake kasako na sente na ziria. So how are people even doing their part?
Me, I'll still go back to the government. Kubanga echo cheyamanyiza abantu. Chovola wa NRM is known for mugati. Abantu tebali bulankanyiza sente nga bamanyi tebagenda suubira kintu kirala. But they know bajja kubulankanya bajjire mu nsonda endala era babeeko kye bayiiya I think that's what they've put in the minds of people.
Who is putting what in the minds of people? Because
The
when you
party
talk about the
itself, because we are
government,
talking about the NRM.
the government is the people. So who is the government spoiling?
The
And who is spoiling
state,
who?
the leaders in the NRM have made it seem like chibina cha mugati because omuntu wanakola ekintu bwe kityo n'atakozesa sente ki kyalina zikozesa. That means they are expecting some other money.
That means
the
problem is not the NRM. The problem is the people
The
that are
people
not
and also
putting
not
to use
doing
the
their
money
work.
that are being given.
Chebaba making zokola ki?
Who is because when you come to public offices,
making
ordinarily we expect that you are a servant of the people. So when you get money and misuse it, is it also a problem with the government? Is it the state?
The leaders themselves, for example, are corrupt leaders.
Now that is not the NRM.
The leaders of NRM are corrupt. What do you expect abantu bakulembera okukola? They are also supposed to do the same thing.
Before I come in, I just want you to answer me.
You can come in.
Before you come in, come in.
Because of my time, I'm just taking our time. Let me ask you, if a minister is implicated, convicted, jailed and sentenced, and tomorrow is awarded another position,
Ministerial position,
and the awarding officer is the one who claims to be fighting the same vice, how do you call that? You continue.
Punishment is meant for behavior change. We expect this person has learned a lesson and I have changed. The reason why we give them another position.
Continue.
Anyway, ngenda kudda ku
Answer
nsonga ya Mukose. Farida Jabadde agamba nti President tateekeddwa twala abaana be mu UPE.
Atagambye nti tateekeddwa.
Because I know obusobozi.
Yes.
Because I know
It's not that
obusobozi. Like it is
tateekeddwa.
not a must nti alina kola ki kutwala abaana be mu UPE okola ki because I know obusobozi. Nti kubanga n'abazadde tugenda tandika kati gamba nti mulimu abazadde abeesobola n'abateesobola. Out of which it's not anyone's blame. But here is what he was trying to mean. I did act by an example.
Yes.
And that means for any leadership I know kubeera nga ngekola, it has to be inclusive. Kyagazako kutegeeza
jabu. Buli muntu agamba kitegeeza bikola na president afunye jabu.
Kati kambabuzi.
Kyagazako no kamalirizeeyo. Kyagazako kutegeeza ki kino. It's not like tagama nti president atwala abaana mu UPE because teyesobola, but maybe wanabatwala wajja okumanya what is lacking. Because in the first place, ne minister wa education, sichiwa oba ne banna abamuli wansi, sichiwanga babatwala n'obudde ogenda mugana amasomero ne balaba ekibulamu. W'onootwalayo omwana wo, n'olaba embeera gy'ayitamu, you will then understand that maybe this is missing, maybe this is not working out. Watch together. But because these people, they are not, their leadership is not inclusive, that's why such issues are not addressed. We all know that UPE schools ezili obubi.
Kati chemutu mugenda tandika tugamba nti ajavuge ku boda amanyi obuzibu bwa boda bwe bayita agenda alimeko amanyi obuzibu omulimi gyayita.
He should be part of. No,
he's leading by example by taking his kids to school, so you know education is important.
When will he ever know that UPE schools is facing other problems that they are facing?
What are the people the leaders?
What are the leaders who are supposed to do such
what have they done? By the same government.
Now
the question is to such leaders who are in those positions, and their roles is to supervise these schools and make sure they are on the standard. It is not the role of the president.
It's like saying, "Bobo ine motoka tambuza kebigero la wala kaina motoka nako
Anyway, this is what I think about NRM. It hasn't really, from the start, it hasn't really provided sustainable solutions. Beba nonti Farido zenga njale kuluma. Lero nenkuwa omutwalo. Nincho yagala kudda because omanyi nti njala babe kuluma I have money ngenda kola ki. Kuwa. Bagenda kwata amasomero bagateekeko. Bateekeko like osayenga abasomesa tebalimu, teachers that are there are not trained. Naye bagamba amasomero twagazimba. Then what is it? N'abaana obutasoma muzadde agenda tunamaga kati omwana newe namutwala wali. Kiche kigenda because we've seen kids there ngaba omwana avano nagenda kusomera nenga n'entebe teziriyo kati lwaki oba wateeka isomero in the first place. What is the real instance of putting a school that you call a UPE school or USE? So me, I think they have not provided sustainable solutions. Bakola bintu ku by'ejja ko bw'ejja. That's what I think.
And Arnold, on that same note, when you see, I want to believe that sometimes government has done some initiatives. Yeah, they have put in place some mechanisms to make people, get out of some poverty and provide some basics. But sometimes the people's leaders themselves, they misuse those resources. And now I don't know how that goes back to the state. Because nobody have corruption.
Trained to have the discipline to lead.
Nobody have corruption. You see, ordinarily every year Uganda loses about 20 trillion Uganda shillings, which is basically half of the budget that we have. So basically half of the budget is lost to corruption. So that would go to government to some extent. But sometimes the people or themselves, because I don't know how you lead ekitundu nga initiatives ezino chikulakulanya bwajja sente oziria. What do you expect of your children to be? So how is it the problem of the state or is it the problem of the people and their leaders they elect?
So kwa byonna nsaba abalayi baffe abalungi muleke tukuwatinga bubi nti we are not appreciative. Kuba ne faida alinga kyageza okudepictinga
depiction, yes,
depiction. Republic bandabenga a critique of everything. First of all, twebaza government nti yateka UPE. Kwa bana eri ababambi atenda busobozi afunye omukisa okola ki okulaba ku bagamba kulaba ku blackboard. Tufunye omukisa nti eriyo abafunye omukisa okufuna ku blackboard. But ensonga yange enkulu eri nti first of all, but we are shaping an equal Uganda. How can we, or how can a kid of UPE are feeding up 3,333.3 per term, according to the UPE budget, a competing no mana Basanyizzawo obukadde buna per term. Basoma ebintu yebimu, bakola ebibuzo yebimu, bali mu Uganda yemu, bayosinkana bulamu bwe bumu. Nti okay, UPE bwe mugamba nti nnungi nga mukkiriza nti nnungi, lwaki mukkiriza government public institutions and other private institutions okuba obulungi okusinga government institutions ezalibadde zina resources ya buli kimu? Okimanyi ng'eriyo amasomero agamu agatana na bitabo, not textbooks, naye nga it's competing n'essomero erina fully furnished and equipped laboratory library. Tutunuulira tugamba okay, education shouldn't be determined by affordability. That's my issue. Kuba we are facing the same challenge. Ngoti kulugudde tugamba nti nokuba ekinya nogamba olugudde lubi wa ine abajja kubagambe lubi oba poshera gambe lubi oba kitegere. Nti tutunuulira let's have bare minimum. Nti bwabanga health sector bwakibanga obote bamujanjabiranga mulawo nga jesiga, lwaki mu lwaleero temukyajesiga? That's my issue. Nti mugamba UPE nnungi, lwaki mugiwa 3,333 per term? Evuganye omwana aveemu akola ebigozo byebimu avuganye nogwasulira akadde akamu buli term. That's my issue. Sigambye nti alina obusobozi atwale obatatwala mu UPE, no, but issue ebe ku level the ground. Ndowooza ekyo kitegeekesa bulungi nti nze UPE siginako buzibu ne USA bangi bafunyeemu kuba bangi tebalisomye, but wabeewo ebitu fenna nga waliwo unifying factor nti omusomesa nga mugambye nti bwekiba nga mugamba UPE nnungi, omusomesa ed teacher owewaffe ekasuta ino gyenva bamuleete ku Buganda Road wano tulabe obanga asooka competinga noweeno nti olaba ne UPE zino nti abamu ewaffe nabadde ndaba story emu nti essomero lya gavumenti basharinga abaana abayizi basharinga toyi emu abawala n'abalenzi n'abasomesa but essomero li competinga ne private school nga bo toys are flashing of it's not toy is flashing. They are competing. Nange they are sharing. Omwana abana babadde mu COVID lockdown. Abana bakuze bagenda mu nsonga for now. Kino mwana omuwala wa P7 ali mu nsonga. Naye omexposing nze ali agenda mutoyi yemu ekifukiro kyekimu n'omuvubuka. Osubye omwana yanaso competing anaba na esteem eso okuvuganya nowe Kampala nti eriyo ebintu tugize tugane how much nti government ebe nebyakoze naye tukize nti waliwo obunafu bungi. Back to the question of embezzlement, corruption, being in the video
self-centered
or public amazima ewafu tugamba nti bwe kiba kirungi enyonyi eyigiriza ento okubuuka, bwe kiba kibi enyonyi eyigiriza ento okwoona mu kisu. Olwaleero ogamba otya nti abaminisita betumanyi nti ba NRM bateesobola okukola mu muvuyo n'okubulankanya ensimbi nga eyali bagambyeko ye mukama waabwe abawa obuyinza. Naye nga mukina agamba IGG, don't touch my anointed ones because their anointing water helps to lubricate the country. Nenga bwogamba nti but that anointing you having people are misusing the anointing oil. But the same anointing oil bweba misused by the other people gamba please tubagenda ko nnyo aga mafuta gafaago bagakusa bulungi kuba wabashitegeera
biyamba ffe
ko biyamba ffe nze kyakitegeeza otugamba nti wa opposition bakwata mu kintu kino wano bakunyweze naye baweneeneena no kasoze takawaka kyogamba bana abaala baswalawa nti awafusinga okuva obuzibu nti omwana agamba okay tegeeza nga ne mu NRM alaga mu NRM nja kubba bwena batajja kungambako naye labda mu opposition wano n'ekikumi kyembuziza kizo okunita kanyamberege nti kizo kugamba nti abantu bali balina omutima gw'eggwanga okimanyi nti Uganda olwaliro the only best and paying employment is politics.
Basically, which shouldn't be employment by the
so bagamba nti parliamentary salary should be regulated by an independent entity.
Museveni yagana be minimum wage.
Ne bagamba nti parliament namwe civil service yabagera omusolo era nafuna omusala omungi bwetubala allowances n'omusala buli mwezi ofuna obukadde 10 ojja kulaba parliament eyongezeeyo okulanya entuufu mundi agamba soko nteekemu nafuna obukadde 10.
So abantu wajja kujja those who are there to serve.
Omuntu aza okusavinga ajja kujja savinge but for now oli agamba kantonde ennyumba bwe naayitamu
nja kuzimba endala
obanja kulendala twala ibangi nasinga ye nyumba kati alozas mukasa owerubaga south yatugamba nti ticket ye yokka ejugwa 75 million yapate 95 yapate nateka loans 2 billion bwekibanga byagamba bituufu tugenda kubibye. I'm not factual, sina statistics amazima, sina agreement, sina receipts naye ngenda kubigamba obye nti nat 2.095 billion zateka mu kawuluke naye nga bw'aba afunye omusaala anafuna 2.5 naye nga zataddemu ziri beyond omusaala olowooza zizigana kuvaawa ezinakuba ekiraka
n'okujja kujja to serve the people or to get the money.
Okitegeera nti awo tandika corruption awo nti already abantu baffe tubalaze the best way to live kyewasomerera nabadde nina gyenva mu taxi nabaddemu omusajja ng'agamba nti nze nja kusomesa abaana bange bakome kusinya 6 babenga asobola okwesimbawo wona wayagala ebisigadde kati okusoma kuli mugaso ki abasomye bavuga boda like batasobola okulaga omulimu gwa boda like emirimu egiri informal
kati ataawo aba yeekubye bagamba yeekubye golo kati olw'ensonga nti abasomeseza mpaka sinya 6 kiraga nti okusoma kulina omugaso
anti no kyagisa kugamba nti ye argument ye yabadde egamba nti ofuna qualification n'ogamba nti nze ndimusomesa ndimusawo like olina profession tekyagasa abantu bali basic education bw'aba yagamu ennyini ng'omwana yerwaneko bali bafunye obusobozi agenda afune kyayagala ngaye bona bakiziganya nti singa tuddayo ku drawing board nitugamba nti technical lessons and education should be emphasized more than theory education. Waba oli awo eggwanga yanditumbuka okusinga okungamba nasomera amawulire naye nga amazeeko emyaka gyona nga ne microphones gyabangako okimanyi ngeri omwana ali mu mawulire nga namala afuna okulaba ku equipments internship okitegeera ate ya myezi emeka ebiri naye nga emyaka gyona gyamaze ena oba esatu abasoma ku myaka esatu gyababega nakati ab'emyaka ena ngamazima
yamanyi na kamera bagitekako
tamanyi lyano lya kamera lifaana litya memory card bakwandika mulingo gwakyuse nti abantu bafuna memory card kati baziraba naye tamanyi na bwefaana oba kitegeera nti yeyo education system gyetulimu olwaleero nabadde ndaba express highway bagikoze okusosa 15 naye nga jamu kati nengamba
tebalina automated system
nembuuza nze binasoma nze okwasasoma bulungi sibitegeera oba oluzungu simanyi what do they call express if you tell me express meaning I have no time to delay naye nga jamu ava kajansi paka
kutogete
like omala jamu for
Arnold,
3 hours.
Njagala, I want to see, because when you look at the whole issue is, okay, there is corruption, that we agree, we all agree. But even the people themselves, because if we want a better Uganda, who's going to bring it to us?
Okay, first of all, Museveni ejja ezimu ku nsonga ezameeta okulwanirira ejja kulwanyisa bwenkanya obwagamba tebwaliwo kulwanyisa butamanya butasoma njala bukenuzi
ne overstay in power.
But let's saga ajigerako yagamba kati ali visionary okitegeera overstay in power bali ba Africa ye tiyava mu Africa ko yagamba the African problem is leaders overstay ye tiyava mu Africa
yaja atugamba it's a fundamental change
no buyakabwate ngava ku mazi yake mu Uganda okitegeera kati eyo dibbe saga nyo digenda yesu mu Africa
tata bintu tabinatelera
yesu mu Africa kwa buli nakagamba akatimba kino jobe bali byanenyanga byali biwaddeyo but back to this issue tugende tutandika ku injustices bweba akoti
badde njagalo male ensonga y'okubanga because corruption now apart from the fact that there is corruption in government n'abantu benyi because we are the same people abajane bagamba enguzi when you get in a position of leadership no kola chechimu. Now, okay, yes, there's corruption in government, but what are you the people doing?
Former MP wa Makindi East, John Simbwa, yali teteka mu parliament. Naye kyamugobya mu parliament n'okumwanyisa enyama n'emwanyisa. It's on record, iteke. Nga agamba nti genda gwe banasanganga mu kikola ky'obuli bw'enguzi. Oba kwa parliament obaani bakukwate bakusibe okomyewo batunebyo bugagga byo
bafune sente
za bakavalinga sente ezo bwe zibanga ziweddeyo naye nga nebyo bugagga ebimu ebisigaddewo nga byekusakubulibwa enguzi gavumenti ebitunde oba ebyeddize kwemao baamukuba n'okusobola leero tebagana n'okumusabira ku kitebe kya NRM ojja okuba nti wa NRM nekyamukubya kitegeeza nti will eyokulwanyisa ekikurikodi buuza omuntu omulala yena alimu NRM akubuulire ekyakubya Sam Simbwa n'okusobola leero musanga omuinterviewing omubuuze nti obuzibu bwonna NRM obutakanya obuvaawa nti will eyokulwanyisa obuli bw'enguzi mu NRM teriyo kyo kitegeeza nobuli muntu yena alafuna omukisa ogubba agamba kanzibe ate abasinze okubba bali mu NRM ayinza okuba implicated obupakanya oba okkiriza njagala ompeeyo bataano niwabanga badde PS nga siwa NRM mpayo bataano tumanyi bangi ba list mpanvu nga baba implicated naye ngojja bamukyusa bukyusa n'omuyinza wano namanyi ayakozewo emivuyo mingi n'omuyinza wano niwa police hours no niwagamba nti Kampala akoze bubi nnyo bagamba ali katebe ugera okuwulira kali muloto kekatebe kamuwadde like eringa demotion kumujja Kampala babadde ali ekingi bamutwale atali kingi naye nga asigala akola afuna omusaala so kitegeeza nti weerusinga ebadde weeri ntugamba nti okay bakukute oli muli yake kubanza kisinga okuneewuunyisa nti gwe bakutte n'emitwalo 5 ate babonereza nnyo ndoze kimuvunanyisa lwaki obba akatono owenyingi n'omugamba gwe tujja kubonera kuba zobba zikulakulanya omwana yaŋŋambye nti olaba ogoba abatembeeyi mu kibuga Kampala nti 1 babbye nnyo sente zaabwe ne baziteeka mu bizimbe ebitalimu bantu kati bagamba abatembeeyi bano bagende mu banka era ezaabwe zibalina mu shares eri bafune looni bajja bapangisa ebizimbe ebyabano ate era babbye bibe occupied okitegera bwobba akatono nga for example mwana yaŋŋamba region emu bwobba akatono nga oli wa side yeeyo bakunyingira nnyo oli musiru kuba mwana yaŋŋamba kati nze bwe simba ku mulembe guno singa gukiwuka ndimba kugwani oba okitegera patuso mu mbeera eyo nti tubira mu mawanga kati nti okuba ndi musoga fe abali mu kintu nzibe abasoga bali baavuddeko omunyankula omuganda ajja ne basina mukisa okolaki gubba that's watutuuse kati so will singa badde weeri notandika okugamba nti bwe gwakutte n'obuli bw'enguzi ebyo babitunze amazima singa teri abba nze olwaleero olaba I proud in General Mugisha Muntu ebbanga lyamaze byobufuzi simuwulirangako mulira nga amwesitalako teyogaga byolina ojjukira bwedde bwe bugaggawo simuwulirangako okitegera that's why he can even stand up proudly nakuba nagerega navula buli gwayagala kuba abamanyi ate kyatali singa tuwakuseera ntuba ne principles bali banyumiza nti eri abaagala okugala ku kibiina kye because he was principled ne bagenda mu noop abatali principle but they can drive their principle on remote nagamba no the muntu is a good guy but he's very principled kati bwekibanga tunatwakusali kulembera muntu ali principled then you have a problem as a country ate problem eno ereeteddwa Museveni NRM, NRA, NRO.
But you would say, I want to ask, to move on that same point, Farida, we seem to have drifted from the principle, from the ideas that apparently Museveni came with and the NRM government. Katinga abantu, because the constitution says power belongs to the people, how do people put it back? Because now it seems to be out of hand for some government, and that's what some people believe. How are the people working to make sure that that which is going wrong is getting back on track?
Ngasinadda mu kibuuzo kyo kuinformingako mukulumo kwa sente. Ideally, in an ideal society, you cannot all be equal. You cannot all have the same things. Chovola bane mukama katonda yatonda abeeru n'abaddugavu, natonda abampi n'abawanvu, natonda abatono n'abanene. You can never be the same. Like, I mean, omusayi gwe gumu kufaanagana kankuwa example ya education, it is the same education, but wali abasomedde ebuddo, wali ali ekitende, wali ali ejinja, wali akasa, you cannot have the same services, you cannot have the same stuff. In an ideal society, it is not possible, it is not practical. So we are not going to say, mbo abaana abali nze nasomera in a private school, but we never had a library. It wasn't a government school, it was a private school, but we never had a library. Kugenda ko mu library. So tunamaliza kubanyiza kutadda ku nsonga yennyini eyo nti ensonga yange tebadde nti education nti ebere balanced naye nkugambye nti mu nsi ezitegeerekeka singa private school yatalina library na laboratory ekitegeereka kuba kitegeeza nti nsawo yo tesobola naye mu nsi ezitegeera nezagala abantu baabyo tubagamba nti this is a public hospital ina kubanga fule buli kimu ekiri bugamba this is a public school ina kubanga fule buli kimu ekiri then it is private olw'obusobozi bwabwe n'ensawo yaabwe ekomaawo gwewanga agenze mu lya government kubasasula omusolo gwo buli kimu okisuubira. That's why I criticize them. Byetubasuubiddeyo tebiriiyo biri mu private. That's the issue. Naye bino ebigamba nti tetuli balanced sinaako buzibu kubanga zino engalo tezenkana. But the issue is, are we having ebiri basic
Singa
Ebiri
library.
basic jebiri. What do you mean?
Abana mutaka Farida tubele mamazima. Abatu mutaka wansi like as son.
They have a basic of there's a school. There's a whole Uganda to
Tolaba amawulire nga isomero yerwengo. Tubena na bibina.
Wandika mutaka.
Continue. Ojina bunyiza kuka mazima. Continue. No, defend your thing. Now, defend your thing.
No, I am not defending anything. But if we look at Akumacha Arnold, you are the headmaster of a school that has no that has no basics and chairs. It has nothing. Mina structures. Why would you open up? Follow up. No, there is nothing like government of Gambia.
Yawandike baruwa naita this regulation officer.
Close, don't open.
Atago musango.
Atamusango ne byetagisa.
Maybe you're confusing private and public.
We are reaching, time is going, I want to read some comments. But I want to understand, there are inequalities, that's a fact. And the government, let's say it is doing its best, and it's not. But what is the role of the people in all this that is going on? Obado chawaka submission ko malize. Soko kamaliza. I know they are quite jacking.
I am not supporting Togamba mbo wagira chintu cho. Oleleza wagira.
Oleleza chintu cho.
Si chintu changa.
Okay. No. Government ya NRM.
Government ya NRM.
Constitution of NRM.
Tuli mu government anti.
Because naka kawaida ako recording MOP. Ochimanyi ngebito imutu ya NRM. But let's continue. So
Soko malize Farida.
So bwenga madifenge chintu cho nanga government etukora fena ya NRM. N'abantu abagamba bawangula era batugamba lockdown bote batamina mateka gabatugwa agatuja mu lockdown. So kyagala tumu NRM.
Roger Wadomboziza, what should the people do?
What the role of the people.
We seem to be drifting from the principles that brought the people in power to power, because I'm not in power. So I think the youth specifically, because I am a youth, by no kwetereza, we need to sit and realize what we want. If you want to be at the wano kumanjo, strategize, take a position you place yourself strategically. Name munava ku social media. Okay, if I want to be somewhere, I should go and stand as maybe an earlier MOP or LC5 councillor or something, and then you are here abavubuka tebatulowozezako abavubuka kineno. Let us all place ourselves strategically. Nti osobola okusanga nti kale government bwe nagamba abavubuka kino naye nga muyina we mwe place nze nga babanoonya bayina bamanyiwo. Let us organize ourselves. Nga ne banoonya at least nga baagala okuba empowering and they know where to find you. Nayo sanga nti ogambye ku ghost circles. Abavubuka benyini bebe kotegera nti bagenda kuteekawo circles ezitali non-existent. Nti esente zimalo okujja bazigabane balowooze mbu balumiza government, and for them they think they are hurting the government by not putting the money to use. Nenga in the long run they are hurting themselves, because the government is not going to maybe care, because for them they are doing what is basic. Baba was skills ne baba went tandikwa tujita tandikwa. But take our programs and they're not going to look for you from your homes to come and apply for these programs. They put these programs in place such that you can identify and organize yourselves and then apply for these programs, because money is there.
If you qualify.
Exactly. So you should know, and now look at the mitendera omuntu twetaaga kubeera nachi o qualifying for this livelihood fund. Twetaaga kubeera nachi to qualify for emyoga. Twetaaga NADS zajjanga. Abavubuka bameka bagenda okufuna ensigo za NADS.
Ate bali batono nnyo.
Bagamba mbu ebyo bintu by'abakadde. Because for them abavubuka, agriculture is for all the people.
And agriculture is the backbone.
And for them it is for all the people. Bo bagamba NADS y'abakadde. So both babyetabira mu ebyo. But for them, what they know is coming to Kampala and hustling within. But Kampala is densely populated, meaning opportunities are becoming minimal because abantu tuli bayitirivu. Kati n'ogamba nti singa abantu abamu twetanira programs government zeteeseewo ne tu benefiting in a certain way. Fena tulema okujja mu Kampala nga tunoonya. I agree there is high rates of unemployment. Naye bwe tu realizing anodyo yogende ku muzadde oyo singa nabadde mu same taxi with you, I would advise him abaana aleme bakomya mu senior 6 abaana basome. Because bwagamba mbo tewali essential education, then it means teyali basomeseza mpaka senior 6. For him okusomesa abaana be mpaka senior 6, it means he sees the essence of education.
Ayanga agambe ko essence kama ku senior 6.
The same way watasobola kwata mwana yasoma busomesa kumutwala mu ddwaliro.
I want to go
singa mungaso gwo kusoma teguliwo. You would find omuntu yasoma engineer oba engineering nga ali mu ddwaliro ajjanjaba abantu. Naye okulaga nti okusoma weekuli yadde nti bw'oba osomya akasente ketufuna batono fenga abasomesa. Naye at least you know you were a teacher, you have a profession.
But before you blame such a parent, first understand his frustration. Omanyi ebise bisinga tulanya abantu state. No,
when you first condemn the act before.
But yes, the people also.
You first condemn and
sometimes
you first condemn the act.
They don't realize what they have. Yeah, it's also that problem of expectations. I got buli chimu on a silver platter. You neglect your role as a role player because everyone is a stakeholder.
There's no basic foundation for him to claim what he's supposed to get.
Kati agamba nti abasomye dina bachelor's talina mugaso. Abatwale mu vocational schools bafune skills. You would advise them that mutwale mu vocational schools.
Era yabadde issue ye ngagamba nti bya university abaana be okuza nga bakoze eki?
Bamale senior 6 badde
bagende mu vocational ba trialing skills.
Yabadde agamba issue yabadde ngerenya government ngagamba for example social media eriko ban ngagamba kyokali gye tugenda abantu technology ngagamba mwana yadaga ebintu byayize nga agobera ku Facebook ngamba hii kale ningali Facebook kuliko ngagamba ngabi yavi bitayimanyi ngagamba mwana ngamba na hivi simanyi Facebook tubali zibagikozesa naye nandaga byayize n'ebintu byasobola kubikolamu like ngagamba oyonze mama 6 njala agenda asomye technology kubesi gyegenda naye bino busimanyi bino nagamba sa government etuwa nega buli district mwina musimanyi bino abana mwagenda ne basafinga kwenda kwesa kusafinga nga buli muntu agana safinga abana bange bali badege gibasiba meaning ngeri umusajja amanyi value IT ne ICT naye government sadde wombera kulaba nti to developing no kulakulanya ebintu
bino. Let us also not raise our expectations too much. The government will not be doing everything. Government atese computers masomero omwana ize computer. Omuntu atesewo cafe omwana agende musasula
olukumi. Facebook ne internet omusolo.
Tetuli mukolera ku Facebook. Bali batulese kana ekibalwa ky'abakuntu nyembo yuwa.
Okumenya etteeka tegeza kola kirungi abantu banakukwata Yegeza nti onemuna mateeka.
Bana dina
Lodge tubulire. Bwamenye etteeka nga tebanankwata mbasi mbandi safe.
Dobato osigalo oli criminal.
So kati ono bwogamba ku Facebook tokwatanga you are proud, you're even proud. Ngete bankwatanga nzasi ngo bubi. Ngete musibanga. Nzasi ngo bubi.
Kampita mu comment mukolo anodi. As long as I'm za kugwa ile, which is why we should keep the discussion going. Onagambi, I have a friend, Brook Yams. He's an MP. He told me to win next election. He just needs to save money to buy voters. I don't blame MPs to eat their money. Now, whatever. Now that's what I was saying. That the MPs also come with a biased mind, and when they come, that's why they don't serve the
because
people.
NRM actually, first of all, bakugamba President Museveni agamba no mlonde chidomola. Fazonga kan I
now what did it say?
Baga numbers. The reason why Western enough abantu batonyo compared to Central. Now listen. But when you compare the MPs countrywide, Western nibo nabanango bagas basinga ba MPs. Nibo gama nti walero average zones opposition is wrong.
Kansigalenga
NRM nije mu parliament ngabayo Western efunye NRM.
Opposition yokoze echo was NRM yakireta opposition yokoze echo. No, what have you done? You are also doing the same thing and you are telling us you are the opposition.
Bwe bagana eteka baba kwa ngumi na masamba ge parliament. Umanyi whatever examples nti okay. But no go to gamba but umfaji. Faida kino kyayagala. Katugene echo ampeka
then don't oppose. Yes, don't oppose.
Brook agambye mbu Museveni fired is it Katish from ERA? He went to Shema, bought knickers for women and girls, and finally won the election. Well, the truth is, politics is monetizing.
We saw it.
The truth is,
but
politics is
maybe
monetizing.
It's what they want.
But as the leaders,
because never members of parliament about opposition now badukira
you are forgetting my submission in Bugambi in the politics. But I'm going to the best employment. And it is in Uganda. Again in opposition, na find a wang. Juzi na jida ba unabiafuza munga analysis. Ngagamba enu for example, ina abaka aba ba milioni 2. Ina abaka aba nupu yonga nupu ngamazi majeni in opposition. Niyo abaka ngaba sale musale. Niyo founder. Niyo abaka ngaba Anita.
Now is that a problem with NRM or the MPs themselves?
Opposition, what do you believe in?
The truth is, Arnold.
Because right now, politics, it's by the way, how say, if Bwambuzans, I can give you only 50 MPs, only of opposition, and only 50 MPs in Uganda. Oh, Boka, Abasigade, Emisana. Ajira gamba Museveni mubinyo kali singo ofalero eri politics na yemba de nkusaba ompe yoko
Teresa bless Yagambe. Truths are desperate, but what I want to inform our fellow youth is to understand that Museveni doesn't set our future. It's us to set our future. So we should just know how to handle our desperacy, right, for our own good. We should make ends meet whether the junta is still in power or out of power, for we can never get a perfect.
But how can you set the future to a foundation? Which
foundation do you need, Arnold? You as the youth.
First of all, bwembanga nsogulawo saloon olwaliro nga ya capital ya mitwala aga nguze machine zange bicho mitwala 5 no data nga nagula papu no ngamba nti njagala license ya mitwala 25 nasina kola nagula buguzi.
No, Arnold, that is an unrealistic example. What they food tell us about license ya mitwala.
Farida tugende wali
buli muntu yana renting and they pay for license.
Farida tugende wali
buli omu
abana pala
amount
katika kumulire gwe business na ule akadoka kayotei
ne wobo inama earphones bubiri kati ngaba na electronic for long as it's open and you're operating.
Ladies and
charges
gentlemen,
is varying.
the thing is,
they charge roots ntugulochi.
No, it's not the same amount, Anita. It's not.
Ndiwe muyenga by in a specific obaka kuyenga nachi never kubuza abera wante muyenga the road is very ready gudochi ntukuziga road tabaina ntibaja kuja bakubuza business capital kana
wogambira nti it's not the same. Shops, retail shops is
mini supermarket inti yeno supermarket inti yeno restaurant like tubaguza capital.
Judge Jacob Agabe, the actual intention of VP was to extend educational services to all Ugandans. For the private sector came in just to enhance on the private sector, on the sector. So I think he was also kind of in agreement with you. On Agambi, Jamix Price so drunk and celebrating and praising Museveni for opening bars. How can you tell them we need roads and hospitals? So that is also going to the intention. Young people are not setting their priorities straight. What about ina sentences ganda mabala bazijja?
Bwemba mwabusana kulya.
Onona agawa we might not.
Obasa kusanyuka.
Alex Agambe.
Omwava tena sanyuka.
Alex Agambe. Arnold, we might not underestimate President Museveni's contribution to mother country in the past years of liberation. But I want to believe that at the moment he has long lost his grip at jarring the country towards progress, rendering the liberation day meaningless, which is today. It's basically saying today is meaningless.
Even in me, the first 10 years of Museveni, on a personally,
we are running out of time. I
want Museveni wachina mukaga 86 96 webesa na Museveni wale ulakwanta oli mufubuka nengo chaje onzo ku basaka mu myaka jejimu oli chaizo kola walero.
The time is running out. I want to concluding every one of you. We see everything is wrong. We agree that NRM has done some considerable progress from where we were to where we are. But for what is wrong, I want you to say that we have this problem and this is how we can solve it. In one minute, each one of you. I'll begin with Arnold. 1 minute, what is wrong, fundamentally wrong, and how can we make it better? Please try to summarize it.
Tewali.
So nothing is wrong.
Nothing is wrong.
I summarize. Okay. Okay. Bwebanga justice.
Just look at one thing and say it is wrong, and then how can we make it better?
Tewali chirunji. Reason being, nature ibadde chirunji. For example, nyakwa freedom of speech. But amazima Museveni abadde tuwadde. Naye freedom after speaking. Kakwenza bamwadde unconditional release. Wali baddo nebatekako habeas corpus. Bamwita Jesus court ate bamwandinga until further date. Wali baddo osuubira nti emyaka okuapyalinga mu court nga ina court orders it was automatic. For this fair bail, ngatamwegereza.
How do you make it better?
Automatic. Baze mu okumuta okumanyanga tewali justice. Bamugamba tunaona kuga kumusango kyosegeza. Abantu kyalinga bina sirika bunira tobagogamba nti bantu kyalinga banzi yaka kabina banzi mwenjera sirika bunira.
Bantu jaka kabina ne kalaga.
Aye agamba.
Please try to conclude.
Chizo gamba. Okumuta baze mu namukwata. Kati wongamba wali justice. Wali human rights violations. Chicho ngamba kyogamba nti kiri fule. Munegana kifuna ngaba byakifunye.
Tukore tutia to make it better.
Eso kadala. Tuna kudda ku drawing board. Twejja ko tutya abakulembeze abalali ku abantu. Tutekewo abakulembeze abali ku abantu. Abo opposition ate abo opposition bakoze bubi nnyo n'okusinga aba NRM. Nti bw'otunira abanagana bizibu by'abalina mu opposition. Kwa bayita n'essuubi lingi nnyo. Nti mutu abiri mu gumu.
Sibula Arnold.
Munonde mutikinga atenze mukoti y'abantu bantu na Uganda atenze basonyiwa olwa udisanga olwa mwina bimwenonyeza mwe bana byabufuzi so sina bugambo buwombu ina bana byabufuzi basobba opposition NRM mwena muri balimba muri bakusa muri balabayi muri babuli bafere
yo Arnold yamaliriza nga bawagulu mwenda mutogamba Farida Sibula now to work what is one fundamentally wrong and how do we make it better?
What is fundamental?
What is
fundamentally wrong? Okay, the youths are not being included in policy making and all that kind of stuff. But what we need to do is abavubuka to a positioning. To polishing kenfufu tuleme okudda okubeera social media nuisance nga mudda ne muvuma no bambira kirina kye mutayina ko information abavuka babafa basinze spreading propaganda amawulire agataliko in fact you create those news in your WhatsApp groups ne mobi spreading you spread hate abavubuka to positioning tusobola okulaba nti at least tweteseeko at a certain place nti ekintu ne bwe kiba kize ne bwe ba government program ngeze tusobola okugibenefitingira mu kusinga wetu naddayo otandise odda ku social media ovumye oli tekigenda tuyamba twekolemu omulimu abatalina skills bana go and get these skills. The skilling in Uganda is still going on since the spokesperson, but I know people who are benefiting from it. I know those who have benefited from it. I know one of my friends benefited. She has a bachelor's. She went and did tailoring. Nebamuwa echala ne 1 million. For her, I can yes. For her, I know bujulizi because naliyonga abifuna. So kakati abana mugende mufuna skills imwe abayina bachelor's nganze naye nga temuyina mirimu. Bamikwano go and get those skills. Osanga tomanya as you wait for what? For a minimum to koleyo bo skills buneno. Nabalala you can be investors. You can be investors. Mutandike mpola and learn how to save. Learn how to save on each money that you get.
Thank you so much Farida. Ndoza muwulidde has was specifically for the young people. Muleke kutola wakakulinda bigati. Anita, your last remarks. One fundamental issue and how do we solve it?
Of course, that will be leadership. The leadership is wrong, and that is why we are suffering the way we are suffering. And the only way to make that right is budi muntu ajja mu byobufuzi ajjemu endowooza ya ssente ngenda funa mukino. Let's get leadership skills. Namwe aba opposition abali eyo nga mutuwe essuubi, please work on your leadership skills. Be able to stand in for the people. because we are worried tuyinza obanga tugamba Museveni is a problem navaako nawe noyingira mu ngato and you start from where they stopped namwe ne mutandika doing the same things in your political parties nosanga oba weba FDC oba NUP ngono wavaako oli yaddamu ono ate corruption eri mu ekyo ekibiina. So let's work on ourselves before we prepare to come and lead the country, because we are tired, and if we get a new leader and there won't be any difference. NRM hasn't done a lot when it comes to shaping the leaders, because even the youth leaders betulaba tebaina kyebakolera abantu. They are there to get the money, and that's not the goal. They plan ne babiteka mu kuwandika. They plan how they are going to make these leaders work in all those regions and villages, but nothing is being done. Reason being, these people are there for other intentions and not to work for the people. Okay. So I hope that I hope that's worked upon for whichever leaders that are preparing to come into power after the junta, like you call him. Please prepare, because we are not ready to go through the same things. Thank you so much.
All lives matter.
Thank you so much.
All lives matter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But when I look at almost all your conclusion, basically the problem is, one is majorly with the, I think, governance, that the policies are not inclusive. Others, leaders, they're very serious. They're not looking at what they should be doing. Others, it's not for the people. So it's basically a question of governance. So I think making it better, we should look at that, address the problem of governance, and everything else will probably come into play. Thank you so much for everyone who has been on the Mighty Drive. I don't have much to add. I think they have exhaustively talked about almost everything. Keep it the alternative. At 10, we have a special broadcast where Norman Tumhimbise is going to be hosting Professor Retired Justice Kanyihamba, George Wilson, and Honorable Yona Kanyomozi to talk about the same 36 years of NRM as the people who are there when it was beginning. How is it now? How far have we moved? Are we going in the right direction or in the opposite? How better do we make it, work for Ugandans? That and much more you'll expect on that show. It's at 10. Make sure you make a date at that. Make sure you're around and available, because we also need to be, informed to make informed decisions. My name is Roger Surihabu. Thank you so much for watching the Alternative Dig Talk and the Mighty Drive in particular. Tomorrow we have a number of shows going on. I don't want to break them down. Tomorrow is at Diaspora. We have Voltage on Friday. We have Snap Talk on Saturday. We have Editorial Call on Sunday. And this same show is going to be running here at the same time tomorrow. Make sure you don't miss out. My name is Rogers again. Have a good day.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.